Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Punt Intended. I'm your coach, Dan Winkle, and today we are going to be diving into something that eight-time Super Bowl champ, six of those as a head coach, Bill Belichick figured out long ago, and that was the advantage of the left-footed punter. Starting out in '99 with Mr. Lee Johnson, he won a Super Bowl with the Patriots on their first one. Then we move on to Ken Walter, arguably the greatest holder of all time, a top Pat McAfee had a hold. He was there from '01 to '06, winning two Super Bowls with the Patriots. He also split time during those years with a Josh Miller from '04 to '06, who also got a ring. Then after that two-headed attack of Walter and Miller, they had Chris Hansen from '07 to '09. He was part of that undefeated team. Then from 2010-2012, they had the Romaniac Zoltan Mesko, who set a rookie record for punt net yardage. Then, of course, we have arguably the greatest, Ryan Allen, from 2013 to 2018, won three Super Bowls, also a two-time Ray Guy winner in college. Then we take a break with Mr. Jake Bailey, who was an All-Pro in 2020, also made a Pro Bowl that year. He was a righty, and the final lefty the Patriots had was the Belgian brute, Corliss Waitman, who made a couple of practice squads for them over the years, but never really panned out onto a main roster for them. So now you're thinking, okay, cool, but why? Wouldn't that just be a lot harder to find someone that could do that, considering that 90% of the world is right-handed? You would have to try out 10 punters, and hopefully one of them would be left-footed. Is that really worth the trouble to go through? Well, Bill Belichick thinks so, and a lot of the league is starting to think so as well. And the reason behind that is in a study done back in 2013, they found out that almost 1% more of punts from a left-footed punter are muffed as opposed to a right-footed punter. And the reason behind that is because it's, one, not something you see a lot of. As we've established, it's about 1 in 10 punters. I mean, this past year in 2024, week one, there were 5 starting left-footed punters. And the reason that that affects people so bad, it's just like if you're throwing a football, if it spins the opposite way, it's really kind of hard for your brain to make sense of that. It's just like throwing a football. It comes off your foot the same way, and I found a video that kind of explains that.
Well, first, the ball does come out differently because it spins the other way. So if a right-handed quarterback throws it, it's going to spin from left to right. But if a left-handed quarterback throws it, it's going to spin right to left.
So when I have a left-handed quarterback and I'm on the right side, regardless of where I run on the field, the ball, unless I run an out to the right, is always going to be spinning away from me. And if I run a deep route, I got to run further because the ball is not going to be going down the middle of the field because of the spin on it. You have to run further to be able to get it.
So you might have on the deep ball 3 or 4 yards difference where that ball is going to land, depending on whether it's a left-handed or a right-handed quarterback.
As you said, he's a left-handed quarterback. I'll tell you, those balls do funny things.
They really do.
But if you don't believe me, because of course I was never a pro punter or punt returner, I was able to find a article that Tress Way was a part of when he was first coming out of Oklahoma State. He was at training camp with the Bears before he eventually signed with the then Redskins, now Commanders. He was teammates with the greatest return man of all time, Devin Hester, who told Way when he had a tight spiral, he lost it up in the sky, it spun backward to him, and it just looked way different than what he was used to. And if that's coming from Devin Hester, I think you've really done something. And that's not the only time a great return man has mentioned something like that. Back in 2005, Dustin Colquitt says part of the reason Hall of Fame coach Dick Vermeil drafted him was because he gave punt returner Dante Hall problems with that left-handed spin. He recounted it as something like a Roger Clemens curveball coming from the sky. So we can see why Bill Belichick would prefer to have those guys on his roster if they can stump guys like Hester and Dante Hall. Even if it's just 1% of the time, that can make a difference in 1 to 2 plays a year. If you see a guy muff a punt, there's a chance that he's cut the next day. But there could be another advantage to these left foot punters, and it's kind of a wild one, so stick with me here. A Sports Illustrated article I found written in 2018 had this to say: in our quest for answers about the left-footed tradition in New England, Mesko has an intriguing theory. In Gillette Stadium, which opened in 2002, there's a dominant wind pattern. It comes through the open end of the stadium and blows across the field in diagonal right to left. In other words, if you're facing the open end and the goalposts are 12 o'clock, the wind blows through 8 o'clock. Belichick himself acknowledged this in November in Gillette's inaugural season, saying the wind runs part of the way through the field at the open end of the lighthouse, and then seems a quarter more down toward the home bench to the right side of the field, if you're facing up toward the open end toward the visiting bench. And this would lend credence to the advantage you would have there, adding some more distance to a punt that would fade to the left. That same article goes on to say that the left-footed punter actually has an advantage for if the wind were to mess up their drop, because the sweet spot of the ball wouldn't be as affected if the wind were to move it. That is a little bit up in the weeds of something explained in the video, but it is there. So, in my opinion, I think it's worth it to find a left footed guy that you find serviceable enough to where he can make a difference in games. Some of them have big legs, some of them not so much. You're kind of in the same boat with the right footed punters, but I do think they give you a slight advantage over the right foot guys just because of how hard it is to find. And even that way, if you're playing a left footed punter, you're not having to bring in a guy for 1 week just to give your returners a look in practice and then just send them back away. But who knows, with the new generation of Aussie punters, you're seeing more and more guys that can use both feet. So maybe we'll get to a point where guys can just pick before the snap on which one they want to use. Those are just my opinions, but as always, let me know what you guys would like to see down in the comments. Hopefully, I'll get back on track. My app that I use to help edit these videos actually went down for a while, but I've got it back, so hopefully we'll be back on the grind here soon. But as always, I'm your coach Dan Winkle. Like, subscribe. Let me know what you guys want to see.